Here is the 2025 Honda Accord Sport L Hybrid in urban gray over black. This year, we have a new SE instead of an EX. They also have an option where you can get it blacked out on the exterior, but the features are going to be the same, and it's still going to be powered by the turbocharged with 192 horsepower. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm going to touch bases on some pros and cons, the competition, and throw in a problem that I have with the vehicle. But one thing about Honda, opposed to Toyota, is you can still option that turbocharge, or you can go into a hybrid variant. So I like that they give you two different choices, because when you go into the new Toyota, you can only get a hybrid trim, and there's not going to be a lot of standard features. You actually get more here, where you have to actually option features to make it fully loaded. It's not going to be the case when you go into Honda. Starting with LED headlights, the daytime runnings that integrate into the gloss black grille. The lower gets the gloss black that wraps around, giving a sharp sport back design. It's a European style. That's what Honda was going for when they did the refresh. Now, touching bases with the new Camry, the LE. You would have to tick two different packages in order to get what you get with the SE trim here. That would be the turbocharged variant, non-hybrid. And you're going to be saving at least $1,000 to $2,000 minimum. Now, underneath the hood is going to house the 2.0 liter four-cylinder hybrid, pumping out a combined of 204 horsepower. Now, that's 21 horsepower less than the front-wheel drive Camry, and you can option an all-wheel drive, which will give you 232 horsepower. In the Accord, you can't even get an all-wheel drive variant. But then on the torque, 247 pound-feet. The Camry, 163. Night and day difference, achieving 46 mpgs for the city and 41 mpgs for the highway paired to the eCVT transmission. So I'm liking that we're getting some more performance, because when you go into torque specs, that's what you feel when you're mashing on the gas. You feel that more than horsepower. Set with 19-inch wheels. On the Sport, the Sport L Hybrid, and the Touring, this is a matte black 5-spoke wheel. The EXL will have the 17-inch wheel. And another thing that the Accord does right, in my book, is they don't have a sport-tuned suspension. So when you go into the SE or the XSE, and I've had comments before, they've said, hey, well, the suspension's different. It's not. Look it up online and you'll see the specs. Sport-tuned suspension on both two of those, and that's the only way you can get that sporty style, but then you're sacrificing in the drive as well as increased in the wheel size, whereas here, McPherson strut front and a multi-link rear on all trims. And if you don't want the bigger wheel, you can option for the EXL, but the sweet spot is the Sport L Hybrid, because you get a lot more bang for your buck, especially when you're comparing it against Camry. As for the Kia K5, that's going to be a little bit less than this and a lot more performance driven, because we don't have the 2-liter turbocharged with 252 horsepower anymore, which was literally the equivalent of a BMW 330i in performance. That was crazy, and I kind of wish that they would bring something like that back. As for the Hyundai Sonata, you can option the hybrid trim. And when you go into the top tier, it just touches a little bit over 40 grand. It's literally the best deal spec-wise for the pricing and the best warranty in class compared to all of the competition. And going back to the Camry, the moonroof, you have to option that. It's going to cost more money. Trunk lid spoiler, that's not going to be on all the Camrys, nor will it be on Kia or the Sonata. But when you go into the sport trims of the Accord, it's going to be on all of them. LED taillights that integrate into the smaller Honda badging, paying heritage to the original Hondas. And I like that they implement these little subtle touches, because it makes it look a lot more sporty and yet keeping the essence of the Accord alive. The lower gets the gloss black, no exhaust outlets. It's a hybrid. You're not taking it on the track. You're wanting great MPGs, and that's what you're getting. The best-in-class MPGs for the city is going to be onto the Sonata, but this is definitely going to give Toyota a run for the money, and Toyota just did a full refresh. So when you're considering they did a full refresh, yes, they're getting better MPGs than this, but this is going to be a smoother drive. You don't have to option things like that sport-tuned suspension. Plus, you still have 6 different trims and a turbocharged variant. But drop something in the comments to let us know which way you would go. Toyota, Hyundai, Kia, or Honda. Quick release going into 16.7 cubic feet of storage, which is over 1 cubic feet more than the Camry. Underneath the floor gets a little bit of storage with compartments, and you can fold down the rear bench just by pulling these tabs. and that will maximize the cargo capacity. You'll still have a little bit of a lip and kind of a wall that's circle, so the Camry will be a little bit more easy for the opening, but overall cargo capacity, better in Honda. The key fob for the Accord Sport L Hybrid. Going into 10-way power seat adjustment that starts on the SE trim. That would be cloth seats with heated front seats. The EXL gets the leather seats, which trickles into this trim. Ventilated seats will be only on the Sport Touring model for the front occupants. Memory for the driver. The dashboard is going to have a similarity to the Civic. So you'll have the mesh inlays for the air vents, gloss black surrounding it. You get a power button for the 12.3 infotainment screen. Let's fire it up. Google-based system with Alexa built in. The Touring is going to have the 12 speakers through Bose, wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, start on the hybrid trims with Wi-Fi hotspot, put it into reverse, and you'll have a reverse camera with full trajectory for the rear. You can hit this little sub menu and go through different camera layouts to make it a little bit easier for reversing purposes. Heads-up display will only be on the Touring Hybrid. 8 speakers with 180 watts will start on the hybrid trim, as well as the SE. Base is a 4-speaker layout, dual climate control settings, a wireless charging pad, only available on the hybrid trim with a leather wrap for the gear lever, and on the steering wheel, heated for the Touring model. 10.2-inch gauge cluster is standard on all trims that can go through an array of different content for the driver, and the driver mode select. So you have Econ, Normal, Sport, and Individual, and both sides can be tailored, so I like that they have full capabilities with this gauge cluster. You can also change the design of it too, so we have the round right now. You can put it on the bar, round minimal, bar minimal, and minimal. Multi-function steering wheel with the paddle shifts that will integrate for the regenerative braking. USB ports. Going to be soft to touch where it needs to be. Opens up into a medium-sized storage pocket with a 12-volt. Auto-dimming rear view mirror is only on the Touring. A moonroof starts on the Hybrid Sport trim. Door panel and dashboard integrated together, and it keeps a nice round effect. I just wish that this gloss black would kind of be implemented right around there instead of down here, so it'd be a little bit more seamless. One touch up and down for the front windows. It's soft to touch where it needs to be, and even right here for some more cushioning. The memory seats start on the EXL Hybrid with a medium-sized storage pocket and a larger area for a beverage holder. And headroom is not going to be an issue, as well as leg space. And you get the Sport pedals because we are in the Sport L Hybrid trim. There isn't any pass-through or any sleeve to put any storage or mail. Going into the back, that's the opening that you have to fit 2 more with the armrest and cup holders. Otherwise, 3 can fit. USB ports is standard on all trims with air vents. Storage behind the passenger seat, not behind the driver's seat. Leg space is not going to be an issue. The same thing with headroom. Even though the roofline is sloped, it still works. The door, here they do strip out some materials. It's not going to be soft anywhere. They just put the plastic materials, but in the same category, you're still under 40 grand for a near fully loaded vehicle. So you got to take your pros and cons. Storage is about half the size. Sliding into the center, the floor isn't completely flat. You will be sharing some feet space. Knee space isn't going to be an issue though for someone at 6'3". Butt, leg, and shoulder space will be a little bit because this contours inwards, and headroom actually becomes compromised a little bit more so here, but it's the same thing with the Camry. Now when Honda implemented the refresh, we did lose 8 horsepower, but we gained 15 pound-feet of torque. And then when you're considering the Camry, you're going to get 2 and 6 mpgs more than this unless you go into the base trim, and that would be something comparable like an XLE or XSE to this trim. Going into the LE, you're going to receive 7 and 9 mpgs more. But then when you're considering the price, you save over $1,000, if not more, on each trim. You have a lot of trim choices here, but then on the con is you do have to go up tier base in order to get features. But on the Pro, at least you're getting standard features. I do like the way Toyota has made it a little bit more simplified because it's 4 trims to go to and you can actually option features. I kind of wish that they would trickle that in when it comes for the Accord. And now to see what 247 pound-feet of torque looks like, here we go. Smooth, get up to speed quickly, still getting great MPGs. I mean, 46 over 41 is a lot. The ride to this is going to be a little bit more smooth, even though you're with 19-inch wheels. And if you don't like the 19-inch, like I was saying on the exterior, go into the XLE, you'll be happy with the 17-inch wheel. Braking on the vehicle, you can stop on a dime. The windscreen's huge, as well as the windows around you, and you sit a little bit more inwards in this vehicle opposed to Toyota. You kind of feel like you're more so on the headliner when you go into Toyota, Hyundai, and Kia. It's not going to be the case here. The seats are actually more comfortable for the butt and the bolstering around you. It feels quick off the line. Sound deadening, it's really good. Now going into the touring trim, it's going to unlock a lot of features. The heads-up display at 6 inches. You get the 12 speakers through Bose, ventilated front seats. These are things that are great, but I like that what they have added for 2025, giving us charging ports in the back standard on all trims. You do have to go into hybrid in order to get a wireless charging pad, as well as wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. But in the same aspect, I'm all right with that because I'm still under 40 grand and I'm near fully loaded at a Sport L hybrid trim. Turn radius at a stop point is going to receive about 2 lanes. It's a hybrid. Let's rock and roll. Now I understand you're probably thinking, well, these are not performance vehicles. You're not going to be doing this all the time. The nice thing is you have the capabilities to feel sporty even in a hybrid. So typically what happens when people buy hybrids, they're just looking for MPGs. You don't necessarily get a sport feel, but you're going to have a little bit of that playfulness because of the way the exhaust filters in through the cockpit. But it still will sound more drone note than the 2-liter turbo that we lost, which was an awesome vehicle. And like I was saying on the exterior, something I wish that they would bring back, make that the touring trim. Don't do a hybrid, do the 2.0 turbocharge. I mean, let me know your thoughts on that. Taking me to some pros and cons, starting with the most quiet in class. The most smooth is between this and the Sonata. The touch and feel is going to be more soft here, except when it goes into the back seat is very similar to Camry because they strip out everything in the door panel, so it's all plastic materials. You get a little bit more sound when you're going this route, especially the Bose upgraded sound system. I actually like that a little bit better than the JBL sound system, and I like that you're getting a standard moonroof when you go into the hybrid trim. I also like that you have leather trim seats with the steering wheel and the gear lever. That's going to be starting on the EXL trim, so you have 3 different trim choices to choose from. Unlike Camry, Kia, and Hyundai, you have to literally go up into the top spec in order to get those type of features. Now on the con to the vehicle, the infotainment screen comes out of the dashboard. I would like it to be a little bit more integrated inwards. Not optioning features, you do have a lot of trims, so in that category it kind of makes it easy, but then in the same aspect, maybe I want the EXL wheels, I don't want the Sport L hybrid wheels. Now I would have to make a deal with the dealer to swap them out in order to get that 17-inch wheel instead of 19-inch wheels. Just give us some options so it makes it a little bit easier to configure things like that, especially in the interior. Maybe when you get into the Sport L hybrid, give us an option for ventilated seats. I get it, it's just a few grand more to go into the touring, but this is the big problem when it comes to the 2025 Accord. I like the simplified interior layout that they do because you don't have buttons everywhere, but in the same aspect, you have to do a lot of commands through your infotainment screen. There's only one button to turn it on and off or to raise and lower the volume. You have to do this with a lot of vehicles, but because they have integrated this larger screen, it would have been nice that they put a few buttons underneath it. similar to Hyundai and Kia. Even though it's a digital pad, they still give you the option so you can use that instead of doing everything through the infotainment screen. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like, and I'd like to thank Regal Honda for giving us this 2025 Honda Accord Sport L Hybrid for our car review.